Hey friends, RebeccaEloisa here, and today I have a video for you. I'm in Korea right now. This is a Korean hotel. Landed a couple days ago, but I'm sitting down and filming this video because it's super important. I've had tons of people reach out to me on Instagram and ask about this topic ever since I did a femininity YouTube video. I was interviewed by Hafiz from the Roommates podcast. Here's a screenshot of it, and I'll also link the full interview down below. How do you stay feminine as a woman in the modern world? Because yeah, that's the hot topic right now, even though I hardly thought about it before. But also as a six-figure business owner. And so for me, that was actually what caught my attention, especially as a six-figure business owner, because when I was working in my full-time salary 9-to-5 corporate job, I did not really feel connected to my femininity at all. And I'm pretty sure it's because I was burning the candle at both ends. I was hardly resting. I was working a lot. I learned so much during that time, but I was always in hustle and grind mode. Also trying to pay off my student loans, save money, get better at my job, move up the corporate ladder, all of that stuff. If you know my story, you know that I was super burned out eventually, to the point where one morning I woke up to try to get in a walk or some kind of run before going to actually start work, and I was standing at a crosswalk and the cars were just zooming by. I was gonna walk to a nearby park and the cars were just so loud, the engines were roaring underneath them, and I actually had this thought, what if I stepped in front of one of these cars? And then all my troubles would just disappear. And that sounds really grim, because it was. And I realized at that moment, I kind of snapped out of it and thought, whoa, I'm not at a good place in my life, and this is my wake-up call. Because I'm not someone I had never thought about self-harm like that before. At that moment, I decided to change my life, and I did. I ended up quitting my job, which I'd worked so hard for, but also it worked out better. I ended up leaving a long-term relationship that was a very serious relationship. I quit everything that was causing me stress, even healthy eating, going to bed at a certain time, any type of routines, all out the window. Because I was I was burnt out to the point where I wanted to hurt myself, and so I was you know what, I need to start over. And I did. And the cool thing is that in that time, I feel I actually found myself again. I found not only my femininity and my sensuality, but really the essence of my spirit. And that really only happens when you have time to rest. It's that's how God created us. Even in the Bible, God took Sabbath after He created the world. And even growing up, we always had Sabbath that we observed. But as an adult, I've kind of was busy with work and this and then all these other things that I didn't actually rest. The cool thing is that when you actually let yourself rest, that's when you become the best version of yourself, and you become more creative, and you become more charismatic and more magnetic, and you pursue your hobbies, and you become more interesting, and overall a cooler person in general. That's a bit of my story, but today I have 5 specific ways that I want to share with you for how I personally stay feminine as a 6-figure agency owner. And I have something special to add to that. I'm going to also include book recommendations with each of these tips, because I'm an avid reader. I read at least a book a month, and I have for the last maybe couple years or so. And so I have so many books to recommend. I'm going to recommend a couple books with each of the tips to help give you guys some guidance if you feel you're kind of stuck in a rut, or if you really want to connect more to your femininity or your sensuality. Alrighty, let's get into it. Alrighty, so tip numero uno. Number 1 is to keep your pleasure levels high. Okay, so if you think of the baseline of your pleasure, just in general, how happy are you in your day to day? So how happy are you working? What about walking down the street? What about eating your food? If you're falling below 50%, then this is something that you want to analyze. What I think is a great level is if you can keep your pleasure levels around like a 70%, in your day-to-day, I think that is good. So what's a way that you can increase the pleasure level? Let's look at like the first thing, like let's look at food. The old me, the old Becca, I don't recognize that girl anymore. Just kidding. Sometimes she shows up. The old me, if you're not like connected too much to your pleasure, is I would just be like, okay, what do I need to eat right now so I can get back to work? Let me just go like make a quick sandwich. Let me go in my fridge and take out like I would do like saltine crackers, deli meat, like pickles, lettuce, tomatoes, and just make like almost like a little Lunchable, my DIY Lunchable, but fast. Or sometimes instead of stopping for food, I would just like snack on like some chips and junk. Yeah, my pleasure level while eating was just like, I need calories, that's it. And the food that I ate, it's funny because I just like, I don't really like my food. I just eat it because it's there. Now, when it comes to eating, I've learned to really savor the flavors and look forward to my meals and eat when I'm actually hungry so that pleasure reward is higher than if I'm just mindlessly eating. So a pleasurable way to cook would be like, okay, what am I in the mood for right now? And then you go into your refrigerator and you actually make that meal with love and intention. And you make it something that is also nutritious so that you can have energy for your day, and which also like boosts your mood, and eventually like eating healthier food makes you look better, clearer skin, you know, healthier, stronger body, all that kind of stuff. And then you take time and you eat your food, and when you're full, you're done. Or when you're like 90%, 80% full, then you're done with it. You don't force feed yourself into that. So that's the first one, okay? Now, a book that I highly recommend that goes with that is called The Wild Woman's Way by Michaela Bowen. Unlock your full potential for pleasure, power, and fulfillment. The whole premise of this book is rewilding yourself. So it's good. If you're trying to be a wild woman, then read this book, rewild yourself, and connect more to like your pleasure centers, which is just like a nicer overall good way to live, I think. And number 2 ties very closely to number 1, but I highly recommend learning how to simplify your life and your business. Simplify as much as possible and really only deal with what's essential. And this actually has helped me a lot. Now I have a good routine. So I have my morning routine and I stick to it and make sure that I get my Jesus time, I get my workouts, and I'm good and level and clear-headed before I start my work day at 9 a.m. So I get all that stuff done out of the way. I'm feeling good and great so that I can start working. And even my meals, I know that, okay, I eat paleo based. So for breakfast, if I can have like a protein smoothie and like some smoked salmon and maybe some fruit, like I'm good. And keeping everything basically simple has helped me immensely, not only in my femininity, but that is actually one of the things that brought me up to over 6 figures in my business. Because with business, instead of offering a whole suite of services, now we only really do social media management and Facebook ads. So we don't offer like this management and a bunch of things, but we just do what we do and we do it really well. We simplified our offers, simplify my team, simplify our tasks, even our contracts, and even how much I even talk to my clients. I've simplified all of it. And so a book that I highly recommend is called Essentialism by Greg McGowan, and it's actually a New York Times bestseller, which is pretty cool because I've worked on a couple of New York Times best-selling campaigns and it's hard to make the list. Like you have to do so much press, sell so many copies, and this book has sold over 1 million copies. Figuring out what's essential to your life really helps you to move forward and make even more gains and trying to focus on a bunch of different things at the same exact time. I highly recommend the book Essentialism. One more thing I want to say, when you do simplify your life when it comes to femininity, I really think it's important to have time blocked out in your calendar to where you have nothing scheduled at all. So I usually do this around the time like my luteal phase, so that's usually like a week or so or a couple days before your period, when you're starting to feel like PMS and like tired and moody and all of that, feeling like crying. I usually block out time for that with my work in my work schedule, and that's when I have time to do nothing. Or my mornings. Sometimes I just block off my mornings so that I can sleep in instead of having to jump right into it and do meetings. Or even my afternoons, I like to take naps too, which keep you young and fresh. Naps are a gift from God. I'm just gonna say that right now. But yeah, I take naps. So you want to be able to have time you're not doing anything, because even allowing yourself to get bored is a good thing, because then during that time you may be able to find time to invest in your hobbies, or go call friends, or go call your grandmother and have a good conversation with her, or hang out with your little brother and sister. So instead of actually having to schedule everything, you just take a deep breath and think, what do I feel in my body right now? Do I want to rest? Do I want to go get some ice cream? Do I want to cook? Do I want to learn a new skill? Do I want to sit and watch TV for the next like 2 hours and just eat popcorn on the couch? Yeah, so you do what you feel. And I found that really has helped keep me relaxed, and really in turn has made me a better leader, a better business owner, better with my clients, better pretty much in my relationships. It's just been amazing. So highly recommend the book Essentialism. The third thing that I recommend to help you as a six-figure female business owner is to learn how to cycle sync your hormones and your period with your life and your business schedule. So did you know that women, we're actually in cycles, we're cyclical beings? You have your follicular phase, which is when you're basically like ovulating. That's when you can get pregnant, so be careful. And that's when you're like high energy, charismatic, you feel like talking to people, you feel sexy, all of that. And then you have your luteal phase, which is basically when your body's preparing to either have, like grow a baby or to have your period. And then that's more of like the winter time. Like that's when you're less talkative. You may experience PMS during that time if you have some hormone imbalance. But the crazy thing is, during each phase of your cycle, you have almost like superpowers. So during your period, you may be more emotionally sensitive to things, but during that time, the left side of your brain and right side of your brain, the two hemispheres, are most in sync and most identical, which is pretty crazy. So that's a great time to journal and think about things and solve problems. So if you're having like an issue in business and you don't like the direction you're going, journal about it and find out why, and it'll most likely come out. Now, during that time, you're not your most social. That's during your follicular phase. So once your period ends, maybe give it a couple days or like a week or so, and you may be ovulating during that time. And that is when you actually go and like tackle that task. So when it comes to exercise, that's like your hardcore, like cardio, your HIIT training, your like hardcore stuff, P90X. And then when it comes to business, that's when you take your meetings, that's when you negotiate for hard things, that's when you grind it out. And so when you learn the phases of your cycle, you learn how to play your strengths. We're not working harder. We don't want to work harder. We want to work smarter. Working smarter actually has helped me do 6+ figures in my business, while also really being able to feel like myself, like feel like the best version of myself. So much so that one of my friends, Hafiz, noticed it and put me on his podcast right here, the Roommate Podcast. Again, I'll link it down below. And I know some of you guys watching this have come from that podcast. So if that's you, then hit the like button and let me know in the comments. Say, what up, Becca? And I'll be sure to go ahead and comment back. All right, so the book that I recommend for this is called In the Flow by Eloisa. How to basically biohack your way to, biohack your feminine cycle and all that good stuff. And everything I mentioned in this video is going to be in the description box down below. So if you want to get these books, hit the links below and check them out. Alrighty, this next book, I wasn't sure if I was gonna put it on this list because it may be a little controversial, but I will say that it is a good book. It's very interesting. But before I mention the book, I'm gonna mention the tip. And this piece of advice is connect to your sensuality, because I do feel like even though sensuality may kind of be like shamed in certain cultures, or even just in general with women sometimes, I do feel like it's still very powerful, because you kind of feel into like what feels right to you. And to me, it feels tied to my intuition a little bit. But it also is very rejuvenating for me to just like it's almost like romanticizing what you're doing in the moment. So we have, for example, these like Korean strawberries. And who knew Korea had strawberries? Not me. But these are very beautiful. And so eating a strawberry, I'm not gonna do it, but you can really romanticize your life by enjoying the flavors of the strawberry. When it comes to that, I feel like by really living in the moment, your head and everything is in this moment. It's not in the future getting anxiety, and it's not in the past getting depressed. But by being present, that really helps with not only your sensuality, which comes with femininity, but also being in the moment helps with sales. Hear me out. I don't know if you're making this connection, but for me, it's helped me a lot. So being in the moment has helped with sales, and one of the books I recommend is called The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. This book is really interesting because not only does it show you different kind of like archetypes, like literary archetypes, and then archetypes within just like life of things that make people attractive, but it shows you how you can position yourself to become more attractive, or even position your product to become more attractive in the marketplace. So, for example, if you think of a certain brand, like you think of Apple, you have certain thoughts about Apple and the kind of feelings that it evokes, right? So let's say you are a 6-figure business owner and you're trying to get to 7 figures, and you have a product but your marketing is just like not working. You're doing good but you're not doing great. Then this book will unpack different types of archetypes that are attractive. And so what you can do is position your product that way. So for example, like there actually are different examples. I'm not gonna get into this book right now, but I would say that this book does help with positioning of your product or your service in an interesting way. This is mainly talks about people and like mythical creatures too, but I've found, crazy enough, that it's actually helped me secure more clients and really position my service in an attractive way to people. And so the book is The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. Number 5, this one is my MILF routine. I'm not a MILF, I'm not a mother, not yet. But basically, my MILF routine makes me feel high maintenance, but also makes me feel amazing when I do it for like maybe a week or 2. I'm trying to like really do these things in my life. So what I did in my phone, in my reminders app, I basically made a list of non-negotiables for my day. And I try my best to achieve all of them. So some of my non-negotiables is I have to have my Jesus time. That means listening to the Bible or reading the Bible, praying or listening to a sermon, some kind of spiritual, I need some spiritual food in the morning. Holy Spirit, activate. And then I need some type of movement, so that's like gym time. I write in my gratitude journal. I need to take my vitamins or I will go crazy. I need some type of dense, nutrient-packed smoothie in the morning, which I like to do first thing in the morning for my breakfast. And I also like to have a salad because I'm trying to get those grains in. I actually noticed it helps so much with hormone balance, and I actually have an autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, and it's super important to get a lot of greens and fiber and healthy, delicious foods into your body so you can heal and feel good. I also try to have some kind of like turmeric supplement that day. So I have a little like peak tea that I drink, and I mix it with orange juice. Basically, I feel amazing when I hit all of these. I feel like a new woman. I feel sexy. I feel smooth. I feel well rested. I feel energized. I feel happy for the most part, and my pleasure levels are my baseline pleasure is like at 70% or so, maybe higher, because that's a C. I want to be at least like a B. I will say that traveling a lot. So the last couple of weeks, like I was in Bali, Indonesia, and then went to the Philippines for a week to just explore. And then now we just got to Korea. And it has been hard while traveling because jet lag and catching planes, catching flights, not feelings. So it's not always easy when you're traveling and don't have a set routine every day, but I do try my best. My top non-negotiables are my Jesus time and my vitamins, because if I don't take my vitamins, I will go crazy. Just kidding. Am I kidding? No, I won't go crazy. No, vitamins just really make me feel really good. It's a special collection of vitamins just for me based on where my body's at in the moment, and I have an amazing doctor who puts it together for me. She's actually on YouTube. Her name is Dr. Rajshri, and I will link her channel down below because health is so important. If you don't have health, you won't have good pleasure levels and you won't feel feminine, and it'll be hard to maintain your business. Health is wealth, and I'm just thankful for it. So you want to maintain that too. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that is our video. My top 5 tips on how I stay feminine and soft, hashtag soft girl life, as a 6-figure agency owner. And those are all the books that I recommend. Remember, I linked them down below in the description box so you guys can check them out. And let me know what else you would like to see from me. Go ahead and comment and put any video requests down there. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.